I'm going to do a quick blurb on the raw basics of setting up a defense team. I won't be focusing on the specific heroes that I've chosen for my main defense team. This is literally just the very basics. So it's important to understand a couple things. First of all is the different positions. Your center position here, where I've got it highlighted, is your tank. And your tank position is going to initially likely take the most damage from the opponent's tiles that they're going to be flinging at you to try and take out your heroes. So you want somebody that's got good health and defense. Black Knight is a great example. You can see from left to right, next to the sword is his attack, which is very low. And in the center, next to the shield, is his defensive stat, and on the right, next to the heart, is his health stat. Okay? So, high defense, high health, attack, doesn't necessarily matter. Also, who you put in that position is somebody whose special is supposed to be, and hopefully going to be, highly aggravating to the opponent in the event that the special goes off. So I prefer to put heroes that do damage in the tank position for that reason, because their special is the most likely to get aggroed first. Okay, so center position, tank. Then you've got the two positions on the left and the right of the tank, which are the flank positions. And those heroes, it's generally good to put heroes in that position that play a supporting role to the tank, or if nothing else, also have highly aggravating specials to the opponent, because those two are the next most likely to get hit, especially considering the opponent is going to color stack against your tank, and the tank is most likely going to be the first hero to go down. So then their tiles are hitting the flanks, and so those specials should be particularly aggravating as well. And then you've got the wing heroes. You'll find a lot of healers and nukes in the wings. And it is important to put specific heroes on the left flank versus the right flank, and that is because when AI is controlling your team, or in other words, when you are not controlling your team against, when an opponent is raiding you or attacking you in a war, the AI will cast your hero specials in a particular order, that order being from left to right. So if you have a hero that heals, dispels buffs, lowers defense, etc., you generally want to put those towards the left because their specials are most likely to go off first. It's going to be rare that your team's specials, when on defense, are going to all be up at the same time. But you'll find like Mother North or Alberic, Heimdall, heroes like that are oftentimes in the left because they resurrect. So you want the resurrect to happen before anything else does, in case you've got another healer on your team, or you've got some other buffs that your heroes are going to cast on your team. So that's the basics of the positions, and I will create another one that gets another video here that gets more into the specifics of hero synergies and stuff like that, and For now, though, I will just show you what I mean by how the AI casts. So I'm going to go ahead and put my defense team back into place before I do that, so that I have a defense team. All right, so now I'm going to do a raid to show you what I mean by how the AI casts, and I'll talk about why this opponent probably put their heroes in the order that they did. Oh, can't revenge her right now. All right, so good, Telluria. Okay, so they've got a green tank, which means I want to bring red heroes. And then I also take into account who they have as flanks. I generally do not try and revenge or do war hits with mono teams until I get down to the bottom of the barrel. So I will also take into account who is in the flanks. Again, that's the left and the right position. So in this case, it's Drake Fong and Ariel. And on the left and the right wings, you have Seshat and Gravemaker. So I'm going to take reds against Telluria. And I am going to take either the rest darks or darks and greens, because Drake is weak against dark and Ariel is weak against green. So reds for Telluria. Actually, I think I'm going to do a red-green combo because this one tends to work out pretty well for me. Whoops. If you've watched other videos of mine, you've probably seen this team comp. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining why I'm picking who I'm picking, because this is just to demonstrate the importance of the different positions of the team. So, all right, so I've color stacked against the tank, and I've color stacked against one of the flanks, which in this case is Ariel. And if you look up in the top left of the screen above Seshat, you'll see the little shield icons that tell you who's strong and weak against what, in case you ever need a point of reference. So I'm not going to talk about working the board too much here, just focusing on the position. So you'll see that Telluria has very high defense and very high health, and that makes for a good tank. So you can see that most of my tiles, no matter where they are on the board, unless I can run a vertical like this yellow here, are hitting Telluria and causing her mana to generate. Whether you hit them or not, mana is going to generate each turn, but the more you hit a hero, the quicker their mana will generate. So I try and steer away from hitting the tank initially, just because their whole hope in arranging their team this way is that you get their special off, and Telluria's special is particularly devastating, especially if you can't get a board to work out in your favor, which this one is not going great for me so far. So we'll hope that turns around. Now you can see that her special not only damages my team, it also slows down their mana generation and gives her minions. So in this case, their tank increases survivability of the team by adding minions, increases the chance of survival by slowing down my special generation, and healing over time for their team. So all big pains in the ass for an opponent, especially when you get a crap board. So now, without the tank, my tiles are most likely going to be running into Ariel and Drake. So another thing to keep in mind when you're putting heroes in is how fast their mana accumulates. Generally in the wings, you're going to find a lot of heroes with fast mana, unless it's in the case of you've put a healer in there. Those are usually average or slow. So Ariel is going to heal, and Drake's mana is fast, and he'll just keep smacking your team around. He's got a pretty good attack stat too, so each time you get hit with that, it hurts. And now without the tank there, I'm even more likely to aggro his special repeatedly, so that he keeps smacking me around. So again, that's this is why positioning your heroes is important. You can also see, so I've got, I didn't quite aggro Seshat special, but in the event that I had, I had Black Knight's taunt up, so the fact that Drake just went off, he only hit Black Knight because of that taunt, but had Seshat gone off first, she is a buff dispeller. So since the AI will cast from left to right, they would cast, if all the hero specials were up, they would cast Seshat first, then Drake, then Telluria, then Ariel, then Gravemaker. So Seshat would dispel any buffs on whoever her target was and nearby enemies. And then Drake goes off, Black Knight's taunt's no longer up, so Drake hits all of my heroes instead of just the Black Knight. So that buff dispel is a good thing to have on the left so that your team will have the potential to do the most damage to the opponent. So in terms of positioning, that's why it's important, when you're going to the trouble of creating your defense team, spend some time looking at their specials and what they do, whether or not they dispel buffs or nerf defense, and also spend some time looking at their stats to see how likely they are to survive an onslaught of tile damage or some nuky specials, things like that. Telluria, even when you're plowing red tiles into her while color stacking, she can really take a beating, especially once she starts getting minions up, so her survivability is super good. Some other survivability factors are when a hero reflects a certain type of a certain color, like special damage, like Ursina, my tank, reflects yellow specials when her special goes off. So that increases her survivability since they're likely to be stacking yellow. But that's getting more into the particulars of things. So again, this is just to give you an idea of the basics and why positioning is important. And the next one I do, I'll go into some more nitpicky details. So hopefully that gives you a decent understanding of the basics, and we'll see you next time.